So earlier today, I got word from a follower slash viewer of mine, James Kasusnik, that we may be getting the next gen Rob the Robot, but not for a Nintendo console, for the PlayStation 5. And I found this very strange indeed. I know I don't do a lot of PlayStation 5 stuff on the channel. I don't really talk about next gen stuff for the most part. But when something piques my interest, I got to dig into it. And this is a very bizarre one, like they say here, indeed. So take this stuff with a grain of salt. We'll look at the patent in a second, and I'll put links in the description so you could take a look at this stuff. But the PS5 may come with a robot friend if Sony's latest patent is anything to go by. May come. I doubt it would come with anything. If this does come to fruition, this would seem like an accessory. You buy this on your own. Doesn't come bundled. Maybe they'll do bundles, but I don't think at launch they will. So they're stating Sony's PS5 is set to be an impressive next-gen console. Alrighty. They have a patent filed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office that details an actual robot companion, not a virtual assistant, making this one of the more bizarre PlayStation patents they have seen. Definitely one that's bizarre to me as well. There's a lot of stuff to this. I really had to do some digging to find out what this was all about. But they had some diagrams in the patent with this little potato-looking dude sitting next to you on a couch, right? Now, obviously, this is just like a little sketch. If this thing does come out, it's not going to look like that. This is just to, like, visualize in the patent, like, hey, this is an object that's going to chill with you, right? If you have no friends, if you have nobody to play with, maybe this robot can be your new companion, right? I actually could see this being pretty popular with a lot of people out there. But man, I don't know. What is this thing going to do? So they go on to say, but the robot could also take the form of a virtual object when the user is wearing a head-mounted display like the PlayStation VR headset. And the embodiment in the virtual space constructed when the user wears an HMD head-mounted display, a mechanism is proposed in which the content is reproduced in front of the user. And when the user turns sideways, the user may see how the virtual character is viewing the content together with the user. Okay, so it'll just be like, you can see this dude in VR as well. Okay. Similarly to the robot, I always struggle with that word, my bad. The virtual character also communicates with the user by outputting the reaction to empathize with the user or outputting the reaction against the user conversely. So I read quite a bit about this. There's supposed to be some kind of emotion thing going on here where this little cloud potato looking mofo is going to be able to tell how you're feeling, what your reactions are, and be able to react accordingly and be your friend, be your companion. I mean, like I said, I could see some people be interested in this, but just because there's a patent for something doesn't mean it's going to come out. It could just be some idea they were floating around. But this patent kind of goes back a few years. But let's see, what else do they have to say here? From what we gleaned from the patent, this camera system is part of what Sony describes as feelings deduction unit that uses camera footage, motion, and biological sensor data. So they're checking your heart rate, like your biometrics, right? This robot's going to be tapped into you. Like, that's a scary thought, man. This Matrix is coming sooner than I thought. This thing's going to, like, it's going to turn against your ass. It's going to, like, bust out some weaponry and just start taking over. Everybody gets these PS5 Rob the Robots, whatever they're going to be called. And these things are going to just freaking wind up revolting against us. And, oh, man, could be disastrous. I don't know. The idea of a robot companion may seem odd for some, especially when online gaming and Twitch streaming is so prevalent that people rarely need to game alone. You don't have to game alone. You can hang out with streamers. Even though now you're not gaming, you're just watching. I mean, I stream too, but I get it. Sometimes you just want to chill and relax and kind of chit chat and whatnot. And, if you're in that kind of mood where it's like, hey, I just want to chill and watch some gameplay, you got those options. What is this guy going to do? Is he going to play games with you? Or is he just going to sit there and, like, put his hand on your leg and start inching up your thigh? I don't know. Are we going to get PlayStation sex robots? If they do, I hope it doesn't look like this, but shit, I don't know. It's expected that the user's affinity with the robot is increased and motivation for playing a game is enhanced by the robot viewing the gameplay next to the user and being pleased or sad together with the user. Like, I know people are going to be interested in this. I know they are, but I'm not going to be interested in this. Like, could you imagine somebody playing the newest Call of Duty, freaking getting killed the second they spawn and, oh shit, son of a bitch, like throws a controller and this damn robot looks up at you and like pats you on the shoulder. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I don't freaking know. Or is it going to shed a tear? Is this like the next gen Furby, but from Sony? This is crazy. This seems like something Nintendo would come up with. Hence, the parallels to Rob the Robot. Even though Rob the Robot was fairly primitive, but still an interesting piece of technology from way back when that you used. Essentially, it was like a controller, right? But he was a companion as well. But this thing, my God, could be a scary thing indeed. So I was looking at this patent, and it looks like it was filed in the U.S. April 16th, 2020. So a few days ago, I guess. There is a ton of information here. This is originally a foreign application, it looks like. I could be incorrect, but from reading this and looking into this, it looks like this was filed in Japan, like maybe a few years ago, and now it's being filed in the US. But there is a ton of information here, way too much to go over. That's why I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to read through this. But it just crazy. Joint viewing experience. In order to construct a good relationship with other people, it is said that a joint viewing experience in which people see the same thing is effective instead of a face-to-face relationship. It is known that by seeing the same thing at the same place and empathizing with each other, the distance to the other people is shortened and affinity with other people is increased. Background art. Section 1. Summary, technical problem. Let's look at a couple of these. The inventor has focused on the possibility of utilizing a robot as joint viewing player who experiences sympathy with the user. Like I said, you're jacking up on a game, you're filling up on a game, and this thing, looks at you and gives you a little thumbs up, reassurance, it's going to be good. You'll get it next round. I don't know. That's crazy. For example, they have an example here. We got to read the example. It is expected that the user's affinity with the robot is increased and motivation for playing a game is enhanced by the robot viewing the gameplay next to the user and in being pleased or sad together. Further, regarding not only the game, but also a movie, a television program, or the like, it is expected that the user may enjoy content mere by viewing the content with the robot as compared to the case of viewing it alone. So this really is for sad and lonely people who have no friends, no family, but a lot of people just enjoy their time alone. Now you're going to have a robot chilling with you. This is a very strange thought because what could this turn into? You're playing a game, right? Like, I'm just barely reading some of this stuff. I didn't know all this about watching movies with you and all that shit. But could you imagine you're playing like, whatever game has DLC content and this robot's like, well, if you, like, he turns to you. He's like, well, if you would pay $9.99 for the season pass or $19.99 for the season pass, like you could do this. Like, I could see this being a tool used to sell you more products, more content. I could see that happening, and that's a scary thought. I know there's a lot of laws getting tossed around out there, things put in place about DLC or not necessarily DLC, but like loot boxes and stuff like that, which can be considered DLC, I guess. But I could see this being used for very nefarious reasons from Sony. Like, it starts talking to you like it's your little buddy, like it's a little virtual pet, but a lot more advanced. And you're like, hey, PlayStation Rob, like, do you want to watch a movie with me tonight? And the little Rob the robot, like, yeah, like, do you want to hear some recommendations? And he just starts, spouting off some Sony movies made by Sony's, production studio or whatever, and stuff like that. Like, how this could be an interesting thing. If this comes to fruition, this is going to be a very strange thing indeed. There's just so much here. Description of embodiments. The virtual object may be a character, such as a person or a pet, including a three-dimensional model, and exists. So that's like using HMD, like a headset. Oh man, an object control system of embodiment provides a mechanism for achieving a joint viewing experience with an actual object. All right. Wow, like, look at this. I'm just going to scroll. There is just so much here. We could do like a 2-hour long video reading all this shit. What is this? In the case that the Robot 20's popularity rating for the user is set to be positive, the internal state management unit 110 manages the Robot's 20's feeling so as to empathize with the user's feeling. Therefore, if the evaluation value of the joy index of the user is updated to be positive, the internal state management unit 110 also updates the evaluation value of joy. Does it spark joy index of the Robot 20 to be positive? Oh my God. This is just crazy. You got popularity ratings, sensitivity ratings. What is the world coming to? This is nuts, but interesting nonetheless. I can't wait to see what this thing turns into from these images that we're seeing with the little potato boy. Let me know what you guys think. Really do appreciate you guys watching. And with that said, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom. Bye.